Hello. We are on chapter 26. In most places, spring comes around March or April or even May. Arizona's whole winter is pretty much like springtime with a few winter days scattered throughout. I can't say I was sorry not to have to trudge through snow everywhere I went. Things were really coming together for the festival. Dad found a website that had like 100 country western bands for hire listed on it. We had our pick, and they weren't very expensive. Mom and I spent an entire day cleaning out the old stage in the closed-down rodeo arena. That was also where the food trucks would park, since we weren't going to be having a rodeo. Connor and I had gone on 2 more support group meetings, and I got the feeling he was actually starting to enjoy them, even though he gave Dexter the stink eye. I still hadn't found a tarantula, despite going out almost every night with Dad. One day I was visiting Spaghetti, and I asked Denise what she knew about tarantulas. Do they bother the animals? There aren't any tarantulas around here, she told me as she raked the dirt ground. There aren't? But I thought they were all over the desert. I've read all about them, and every book I've read distinctly states that they live in the Sonoran Desert. Well, they should be here, but I guess with the city moving in on us like this, they've gone away. I rubbed at Spaghetti's sides with my feet. Yeah, but there's still a good chunk of desert right behind us. I'm always looking for one when I walk out there, but I've never seen one. Denise stopped raking and wiped her brow. I guess there used to be a bunch around here, but they disappeared a while back. Henry said it was around 2004. I stared at her. They disappeared in 2004? But Henry can't remember anything. Nothing recent, Denise agreed, but sometimes he can remember things from the past. In 2004, I repeated to myself. Yeah, the last time anyone saw a live tarantula around here was in 2004. Denise went back to raking the ground. Who knows? Probably just made it up. I decided to go visit Henry. He was sitting in front of the soda shop in one of the rocking chairs. I stood in front of him and asked, When did the tarantulas disappear? In 2004, he said, quickly and matter-of-factly. Why do you think that? Because, he said, and for the first time ever, his eyes looked clear and knowing to me. They left with her. I shivered, and not from a cool breeze. With who? He looked up at me, his eyes once more clouding with confusion. Who what? Who did the tarantulas leave with? He continued giving me his confused look. You want an ice cream, sweetheart? I sighed. No, thank you. I even visited Madame Myrtle to try to figure things out, but she was clueless about the tarantulas. She said maybe an exterminator came and took care of them in 2004. Ridiculous. Connor, Zion, and I spent as much time in the storage building as we could, looking through old pictures and junk. So far, Dad had given us about 15 unlabeled keys to try out on the desk, but none of them had worked. This one's a dud, Connor called, pulling a key out of the drawer and tossing it into a paper bag. I frowned as I kicked a box in one corner of the shed. It was so old and brittle from the heat that it burst wide open, sending a wave of papers onto the floor. It wasn't necessarily the most orderly way of doing things, but it was a lot easier than Zion's methods. I sheepishly glanced over at him as he carefully removed old tape from a box and pulled the top back, like the Mona Lisa might be inside of it. Zion shook his head at me. Avon, he scolded, do you have to make this place look like a tornado ripped through? She's from Kansas, Connor said as he tried another key. Tornadoes are in her blood. Connor grunted and then barked. Dud. He pulled the key out. I sifted through the papers on the ground with my toes, trying to make out the faded writing. There were a lot of numbers and words like deduction and revenue and net. I had no idea what any of it meant, but I decided it was all far too boring to be important. Whoa, Zion said, causing Connor and me to stop what we were doing and look at him. He had a book in his hands and was pulling something out from between the pages. Whoa, he said in a whisper. Connor and I walked through the junk to see what Zion was woeing about. He held up an old black and white photograph for us to see. A photograph of me, with arms, wearing the tortoise wearing the turquoise necklace. Taken in 1973. What? Chapter 27. I showed my mom the picture that evening. She stared at it for a long time before whispering, "It could just be a coincidence." But she didn't look like she believed her words. She sat down at our little kitchen table without taking her eyes off the picture. "She has your face, but it's black and white. Maybe her hair's a different color." "Don't you think it's strange, though?" I said. She nodded. Then she set the picture down. "It must be a coincidence. I saw this show one time where doppelgangers—" "Whoa, what's that?" I said. Sounded dangerous and exciting. "Just people who look alike." "Oh, not that exciting." "Anyway," she went on, "there are people who look alike all over the world, like literally identical. But when they were DNA tested, they found out they weren't related at all. Just totally random." "That's weird, I guess." "I guess I found my doppelganger." She smiled. Doppelganger. I thought for a moment. I wonder if Henry knew this girl, and that's why he keeps thinking I'm someone else. She looked from me to the picture and was about to say something when Dad walked in. "Mean Bob has officially left the building," he announced, "and good riddance." "What a relief," Mom said. She got up and handed Dad the picture. "I even found this in the storage room." Dad stared at the picture a long time before looking at me. "Odd," he said. "Did you find this in the desk?" "No, none of those keys worked. We found it stuck in a book in a box." He didn't say anything more, but I did notice the way he and Mom looked at each other, and their faces weren't happy. Chapter 28. Zion's mom dropped him off at Stagecoach Pass early Saturday morning, and then Mom took us to pick Connor up at his apartment. He was already outside his door when I walked up the concrete path. "Hi," I said, meeting him in front of the apartment building. He struggled with the old lock. "Hey." He followed me out to the car and peeked his head in the front window. "Hi, Mrs. Green," he said before getting into the back seat with Zion. "Hi, Connor," Mom said, and we pulled away from the curb. "Are you excited for our little adventure?" "I know I am. Anything to get away from Stagecoach Pass right now and all the craziness of the festival planning. I seriously need a break from that place." Connor gave me a hesitant glance. "Even and Zion won't tell me where we're going." "Well then, I don't want to ruin the surprise," Mom said. Connor seemed relaxed as we drove through Scottsdale. We spent most of the time talking about Arizona and how we liked it here. "I've never seen a saguaro cactus until I moved here," I said, thinking of the great saguaro at the top of my hill. Well, one that wasn't me anyway. That got us talking about Down and Dirty in Kansas City and the total lameness of Desert Moon over the desert. It took us a long time to get to the movie theater, but as we pulled up in front of it, Connor no longer looked relaxed. I knew he was angry. "Avon, I told you I don't ever want to go to the movies," he said, his eyes blinking rapidly and his shoulders shrugging. "Connor, just wait," I said. "I'm not going in," he nearly shouted at me. Zion slumped down in his seat and stared at his lap. "Calm down, Connor," Mom said gently. "We have a special surprise for you. You don't have to worry about upsetting the other moviegoers." Connor huffed. "Of course I do. I can't go in the movies." "Yes, you can," Mom said. "Don't you trust us?" Connor glared at me, his ticking increasing by the moment. "Yes, but—" "But nothing," Mom said. "Let's go in. We're seeing that new sci-fi movie you guys want to see so badly." Connor threw his head back against the seat rest and ticked and huffed some more while Mom parked the car. We got out and walked up to the ticket booth, where Mom quietly spoke with the cashier for a minute before buying 4 tickets to the movie. Connor barked a lot as he walked through the lobby. It was early, though, so only a few bystanders were around to gawk at him. People didn't seem to notice me at all when Connor was around. I felt bad for Connor, but I also enjoyed this feeling of being invisible. As we entered the theater, Mom said, "It appears you have to pick your seats." The theater was completely empty. Connor looked at me and Zion, and I smiled at him. Mom had to call it a lot of theaters until she found them that was willing to give us the whole theater to ourselves. "Are you serious?" said Connor. "Well," said Mom, "we couldn't afford to rent out the whole theater, so it was a lot to ask. But the manager here has a son with Tourette's and was really understanding. Plus, he said the morning show was usually fairly empty, so we were able to work it out. I could see the darkness lift off Connor like a blanket as his eyes lit up. And that alone made everything so worth it. For real, he said? We have the whole theater to ourselves? For real, Connor, said Mom. Connor put an arm around Mom's shoulder. Mrs. Green, you're the coolest. I know, she said casually. Now, you three go and find a seat. I'm going to sit way in the back where I like it. Can we get some popcorn? Connor asked, and I knew he must be incredibly happy to ask for food. Heck yeah, I said. I want some popcorn and some gummy bears. Gross, said Zion. You like those? Heck yeah, I said again as we walked out of the theater. I love squishy gummy candies. I love hot tamales, too. My dad said I like them because they're red like my hair and hot like my temper. I laughed. Connor grinned. That's great to know. We'll try to stay on your good side. Who says you're on it? I said. I was just hoping we were. Connor shrugged his shoulders and blinked, but it made me happy to see that, despite being out in public, his tics weren't completely out of control. I hoped that meant he was starting to feel a little more comfortable. I bet your parents want to see this movie, Zion, I said. Are you kidding? They went to the midnight showing on opening night. They waited in line for like 4 hours, too. He rolled his eyes. And they wore costumes. Because it was so early, we didn't have to wait in line to get our snacks. Mom gave me some money that morning, and I told Zion to reach his hand inside my purse and get it out. I also let the boys handle the transaction. It was kind of nice not having Mom there, making me do everything. Zion paid for our popcorn, sodas, and gummy bears. $20 poorer, we headed back to the theater. Connor in Zion's arms stuffed full of treats. Mine, not so much. I stopped at the bathroom on the way back so I could wash my feet since I knew I'd be dipping them in the popcorn. As we sat waiting for the movie to start, the three of us glanced back at Mom sitting in the very back row. Do you think she might be hiding something from you? Connor asked in a hushed voice. And why did she cover herself up in napkins? I giggled. It's warm enough outside to wear short sleeves, but she forgets to bring a sweater when we go places. And it's so cold inside from the air condition. She calls the napkins her blankets. I rolled my eyes. It was even more embarrassing than when my great-grandma in Kansas used a flashlight to get around in the movie theater. She does it in restaurants, too. At least here no one can see her. Do you think she has any idea at all who that girl is in the pictures and she's just not telling you? Connor asked. I looked back at her covered in her blankets, a goofy smile on her face. No, I don't. She seemed totally surprised. My parents would tell me if they had any idea what was going on. She said it's probably just a coincidence. I told them about the doppelgangers. I still don't buy it, Connor said. What are the odds that you would end up here at this park and find your doppelganger? Okay, we're going to stop there.